Today I'd like to discuss hygiene. Hygiene is a very, very important base core subject of massage, and it's one that in our course we like to cover before you get your hands on people. Obviously, it's a very hands-on thing, massaging people. There's been a lot of studies to show how many germs and bacteria can be passed on through our hands, through improper hand washing after using the toilet or after touching door handles and that sort of thing, just in a common office. So in one study they found that by instituting proper hand washing techniques, they cut the rate of disease transmission in that office down by about 57%. The amount of sick days were reduced and everything. That's just in an office environment. So when we look at massage, we're touching people, we're touching their face, we're touching their feet. There can be all sorts of ways in which we can spread bacteria and viruses and different germs. So it's very, very important before we massage a person, we wash our hands. We either use a natural soap that kills bacteria with some tea tree, some peppermint, lemon myrtle, or some other essential oil that's going to kill germs. I usually recommend that we wash our hands for about a minute. So you rub into your hands, you wash them really, really well. I even wash my elbows before I massage people because I use my elbows. And I let that soap lather in and really work itself because it takes time for the soap to kill them, the bacteria and the germs. So then after having washed my hands, I make sure I don't touch any light switches or door handles or anything before I then massage the person. All right, so my hands are as sterile as they possibly can be, just without using any sort of extensive surgical techniques or anything. Well, basically, it's very similar to being a surgeon, although we're not operating inside the body. We're operating on the outside, but still, we like to keep our hands extremely clean. Okay, so in Hawaii, for example, they actually have a law that states that when you have a massage premises, you have to have a sink in that room where you don't have to touch anything to get from the sink to your treatment table. You don't have to touch door handles, you don't have to touch anything of that nature. Okay, public restrooms, the door handles have a huge amount of germs on them. All right, so if you have to, you would use a paper towel or something to touch something. If you have to get from a hand basin where you've washed your hands to the treatment table, anything you touch in between washing your hands and getting there, you should use a paper towel or some other thing so that you're not reinfecting or putting these germs onto your hands before you actually get to the treatment table. Another aspect of hygiene then is cleaning your hands very thoroughly after the massage. Okay, people can have sweat-borne diseases. Hepatitis B can be spread through sweat. There can be other forms of germs. There can be athlete's foot. There can be fungal things. All sorts of different things can be spread. Even people, studies have shown that about 50% of people don't wash their hands or more don't wash their hands properly after going to the toilet. So if you're massaging their fingers, you could pick up fecal-borne diseases. So to then go and not wash your hands and then to eat a sandwich or to rub your eye or to put your finger in your nose or your mouth or anywhere, these are open orifices where those germs could then come into your body. So very easy to get sick, especially by eating food after massaging somebody or, like I say, touching even your eyes or your mouth in any way. So you must wash your hands properly after giving a massage if you don't want to get sick on a regular basis for people. And again, doing it for about a minute is what I recommend. At least 30 seconds, but a minute is preferable. Okay, that's a huge aspect of hygiene. And one other thing to remember about that is if you ever handle money, especially coins or notes, but even credit cards, but especially notes and coins, they also have an awful lot of germs on them. So anytime you've handled that, consider your hands are not clean. Another aspect of hygiene is not breathing on people's faces. Okay, so when we're doing a face massage, we don't want to, if the person's face is here in front of us, breathe directly on their face. That's quite a horrible experience for the person receiving the massage. We want to turn our head to the side and breathe out that way. Okay, so some people who have using their fingers for particular work may have ingrained stains on them or grease or something like that if you're a mechanic. Or many people have experienced that when they get a massage from people who smoke, the non-smokers can often smell the smoke on the fingers, so be very careful if you are in that category to really clean your hands very, very thoroughly, especially when you're massaging near a person's face. Another issue with hygiene is that if we're massaging people's feet without a towel or directly through just direct skin-to-skin contact, then we should probably wash our hands if we're going to then do a facial massage. Okay, that's again why it's good when you're setting up your clinic to have a hand basin very near where you're going to work. Also, sometimes though, I'm very used to massaging through a sheet or through a towel on the feet, okay, even on the hands sometimes, and even on the face. So that's a major aspect of hygiene from a purely physical point of view of germs and that sort of thing. Many people also talk about hygiene from picking up of energies from people. In my experience, this is very real. We can pick up energies. We're working with people who are more than just their physical body. Obviously, we talked about that, how there's a big difference between working on a living person and a dead person. But there is energies that we can pick up through working with people. In my experience, I've found that using towels to create a barrier between me and the person is effective. Again, washing my hands afterward. If I do pick up energy from people, I try and deep breathe it out, or I flick my fingers off. Okay, so that's an aspect of what I would call energy hygiene, or not picking up energy from people. Some people don't believe in that, and some people are not sensitive to that. So that's, if you don't feel it, then congratulations to you. That's great. But if you do feel it, like when you're massaging a person, you start to feel like, oh, my head feels not clear, or I just feel like, oh, I don't feel good, then that means that you're picking up energy from people, and you need to figure out how to not do that. Okay. So those are my techniques, is minimize the amount that you're picking up by being aware of it in the first place, create a barrier, flick it off before it gets there, and then breathe it out, and then have a good shower afterward as well. I like to use my favorite form of soap to use is actually soap by a guy named Dr. Broner, and he makes a peppermint soap, which I particularly like. You can Google that, and he was a slightly eccentric soap maker. He's passed away now, but I found his soaps to be really, really good at getting rid of that energy that I pick up from people. Another aspect of hygiene is a general sense of cleanliness. So your clinic should be clean, should be swept, clean on a physical level, but also energetically clean, because in your clinic people are doing a lot of deep breathing if you're doing stronger Raynor massage, and they're letting out of this tension and stress that's caused them this, or this energy that's caused them this tension and stress. So you want to have airflow properly in the clinic if possible, or some sort of air conditioning that you can clean it out with. Some people use a candle to burn up the bad energy. Other people will use incense to clean it, or smudge sticks, the white sage that American Indians use. Other times we use like a spray bottle with water and then some essential oils, especially lemon myrtle or peppermint or lemon. Something fresh, lime even, to freshen up your clinic so the atmosphere, the ethers, the air is nice and fresh. The other thing is you want to always have clean towels on the table. Okay, so nothing worse than when you go in for a massage and you feel like, oh, the towels have not been cleaned. So that's an essential thing about hygiene, is to have clean towels for every client. And eventually you have to also realize when your towels have had enough of being hygienic or professional. Sometimes The towels will get in, if you're using oil in particular, they'll get a sort of smell of rancid oil, and that's times where you need to then retire those towels and purchase new ones. It's just one of the expenses of running a good massage business. Okay. Another aspect of proper hygiene is keeping your fingernails short. So it's part of being a professional. You don't want to cut people with your fingernails, but also if your fingernails aren't short, it's very easy for dirt to accumulate underneath them, and then you could scratch a person, and then that dirt and the germs in the dirt would then go in through that scratch and infect a person. Okay, so it's a quick way to put a person off from receiving a massage if your nails are too long and you scratch people. So it's again one of our requirements in our course that you have your fingernails cut very, very short. Also, if you don't have your fingernails cut short, you can't do certain techniques. So we often squeeze pressure points like this, and if your fingernails are too long, you'll actually your fingernails will go into that point. You'll end up having to do techniques like that, which are not as strong, nor are they as precise. So fingernails being short is a very, very important part of hygiene and an ability to do correct techniques. Okay, so that's pretty much the major aspects of hygiene. Obviously, there can be other things that have to be considered that are common sense, but that covers the major aspects of how to engage in proper hygienic behavior when you are a massage therapist. So thank you very much, and look forward to talking to you in our next lecture.